Every world believes it will last forever. This creature was wrong. In November of 1741, on a black sand beach of a treeless island in the Bering Sea, a 32-year-old German physician knelt at the waterline and watched the shallows move. Behind him, his shipmates were dying. The packet boat St. Peter lay broken on the reef. Scurvy had already taken half the crew, and Arctic foxes, fearless of men too weak to rise, gnawed at the boots of the dying. The physician's name was Georg Steller, and he was the wrong man to despair. So instead, he did the only thing he knew how to do. He took notes. He did not yet know that the animals grazing in the kelp before him would vanish from the earth within a child's lifetime, or that he would be the only scientist ever to see them alive. The island had no name then. It would later be called Bering, after the commander who died on it that December. Buried in the sand, his expedition could not leave. They had sailed from Kamchatka to map the coast of America and had found it, briefly, before the sea turned on them. Now 8 months of winter lay ahead, and the survivors lived in pits dug into the dunes. Steller, who had argued on the voyage that the men should eat the island's herbs and seaweed, was proven right. Those who followed him recovered from the scurvy that was killing the rest. While stronger men only endured, Steller worked. He walked the shore, he measured, he wrote, and in the kelp beds along that shore lived a thing out of an older world. They were enormous, the largest perhaps 9 meters long, weighing as much as 10 tons, their backs breaking the surface like the hulls of overturned boats. Their hide was black, thick, and furrowed like the bark of an ancient oak. They had no teeth, only ridged plates of bone, and they grazed the kelp forest endlessly in family herds, so absorbed in feeding that a man could wade among them. Steller called them sea cows. We call them Steller's sea cow. The only name they will ever have, because he is the only naturalist who ever wrote them down. What he recorded was a portrait of gentleness. The animals could not dive. They fed at the surface, rocking through the shallows, and they were, in Steller's word, tame. They showed no fear of the men who began to wade out and touch them. When the tide stranded one, the others did not flee. He measured a female at 296 inches and filled his notebook with the architecture of her body. The small head, the bristled lips, the 2 short forelimbs she used to pull herself along the rocks and to hold her young. He was describing, though he could not have known it, the last of her kind anyone would ever examine. Then came the discovery that doomed them. The starving crew, desperate for food that would last, finally killed one of the giants and found that it might save their lives. The meat tasted like the finest beef and did not spoil. The fat, rendered, was sweet as almond oil and could be drunk by the cup. One sea cow fed the whole company for weeks. Through that winter, the animals became the larder of the shipwreck, and on their flesh the men grew strong enough to do the impossible, to tear apart the wreck of the St. Peter and build by hand a smaller boat to carry them home. The creature that had ignored them was the reason they survived. It was generous even in death. Steller watched a male return to the shore where its mate had been killed and dragged up the beach, and come back to her body, he wrote, on the following day, and the day after that, as though it could not understand that the larder had a cost. He set the observation down without sentiment, a man recording an animal, but he had seen something he would carry the rest of his short life, that the sea cow had no defense against being loved for its usefulness. In August of 1742, the survivors launched their patchwork vessel and reached Kamchatka, and the news traveled faster than Steller did. Beyond Bering Island lay a richer prize, the sea otter, whose pelt was worth a fortune in the markets of China. Within a year, the first fur hunters were sailing east, and they learned what Steller's crew had learned, that the island was a place where meat walked into your hands. They stopped to fill their barrels on the way to the otter grounds, killing far more than they could carry. It was butchery without arithmetic. The hunters speared the animals from boats and trusted the surf to wash the carcasses ashore. For every sea cow eaten, several drifted off to rot. The naturalist Leonhard Steiniger, sifting the records a century later, concluded that the whole population at Steller's arrival had numbered fewer than 1,500, a herd small enough to count, feeding in the shallows of 2 islands with nowhere left to go. A larder does not breed faster than it is emptied, and so the subtraction ran its course. The last sea cow anyone recorded was killed on Bering Island in 1768, 27 years after Steller first knelt on that beach and reached for his pen. No animal of its size had ever been erased so fast in the whole of recorded history, and none had been driven extinct at human hands so completely by simple hunger. The kelp forest closed over where the herds had grazed, and the water held no memory of them. Steller never knew. He had died in 1746 at 37 of fever in a frozen town east of the Urals, his trunks of notebooks rattling behind him on a sledge, years before the killing finished. His great study of the animal, written from the only living examples a scientist would ever touch, was published 5 years after his death in 1751 under a Latin title, De Bestiis Marinis. The beasts of the sea. It is the entire scientific record of a living species, kept by a starving man on a beach who refused to stop working. And it endured. Because Steller wrote, "We know the gentleness of a creature no living eye will see, the herds in the kelp, the male returning to the shore. Bones still wash from the sand of Bering Island, and from them museums have raised the great curved skeletons whole, so that a child today can stand beneath the ribs of an animal that has not drawn breath in 2.5 centuries. A whole species survives now only as a manuscript and a memory. The words of the one man who saw it and was sorry. Some worlds end in fire. This one ended at the table, devoured by the only people who ever knew that it was there. Another world remembered. Walk the next one with me."